I grew up on WWF programs and loved you as a heel as I root for the bad guy, as they say. One other manager that matched your silver tongue and charisma, in my opinion, was Jimmy Hart. Any good stories or tall tales of Mr. Hart that you feel should be shared with the cult?
Oh, God. What Jimmy... And I did a column for Fighting Spirit magazine some time back on this very subject. Jimmy Hart, in my opinion, there was two Jimmys. He wasn't allowed to be Jimmy in the WWF. And it became more like Jimmy's Greatest Hits and The Laugh rather than – there has never been a manager more important to his territory than Jimmy Hart was from 1980 through 1985 in Memphis. Even Bobby Heenan in the AWA. Or Indianapolis. Nobody has ever been better or more important to the business in the territory than, and it was, once again, it was the perfect place to perfect time, but Jimmy was just, they let him be Jimmy, and it was fucking unmatchable. I mean, he was a whirlwind. And, you know, then it was like the Fabulous Ones didn't translate somewhere else because they didn't grow up with the flavor of watching the whole thing that Jimmy became. So, I mean, can you honestly, has there ever been a more over manager in a specific period than Jimmy Hart in Memphis?
Jimmy Hart is the lead heel in Memphis from 1980 to 1985. And he's one of the strongest in that role that you'll ever see. Yeah. You know, people have talked about Albano and the Wizard and their importance in being that guy versus the actual guy they managed versus Backlund. With Jimmy Hart, he goes from being a nothing manager, a barely a manager. He's a valet. He's a male valet to being dynamic. I mean, when he first introduces that laugh and you realize how manic he is and he builds the stable and he's in half the segments on the show and you never get tired of him.
Yeah.
It's an amazing 5-year run. Amazing.
And he defied every law of logic of wrestling by getting the shit kicked out of him almost every week. But he'd go back on TV and talk, and he'd get some heat on 10. Sometimes he'd get the shit kicked out of him on TV, and then he'd come and get the shit kicked out of him again in the building, and he would still get fucking heat. And he was in everything. And it, you know, but as far as stories, they're endless because, you know, I was his understudy there. I was the B manager for the whole period of time I was in Memphis under Jimmy, and I'd watched him. And you, of course, some of it rubbed off. You couldn't be around Jimmy and it not rub off. I try to do my own shit, but you find yourself sometimes doing Jimmy-isms. But my favorite fucking Jimmy story, honestly, was the San Diego chicken suit. Because Memphis in 1983, the summer of business got so big, and Lawler was booking, of course, and there were 40 guys on the card every Monday night, and they were running 2 towns a night the rest of the week, but it just, business was booming. And Lawler had brought Jesse Ventura in to work with, and of course, Jimmy's managing Jesse. And so Lawler brings in, as another way to humiliate Jimmy Hart, which always worked and always drew, he brings in the San Diego chicken to be the real one, to be his manager against Jimmy Hart, and the loser has to wear the chicken suit, right? And I know I just said that, and people are going, what the fuck? But yes, it not only worked, but it drew about 8,000 people that week. And so Ventura loses, but as they go to put the chicken suit on Ventura, he's too big for the chicken suit, which has been the plan all along, right? Jesse's not going to wear the chicken suit, but he's too big, so they announced Jimmy Hart has to wear the chicken suit for a week. And this is in Memphis on a Monday night. So, of course, the rest of the week, I'm in like goddamn Water Valley, Mississippi, and fucking, you know, Oxnard, Tennessee, wherever the fuck, on the buttermilk run, as the Dream Machine used to say. And I don't even see Jimmy. But the next time I see him is like that following Saturday, we're both in Blytheville, Arkansas. And Blytheville's the place where Playboy Frazier knocked himself out that night. He was too tall. He forgot to duck when he walked through the tunnel to the locker room and knocked himself out. Got stuck in the tunnel. They had to pull him. They almost had to grease him up to pull him because then everybody was trapped in the locker room. Nobody could get out around fucking Plowboy. But anyway, I walk into the locker room, and when you go in the locker room in Blytheville, Arkansas, you open the heel locker room, you open the door, and you're immediately staring at a toilet. A toilet sitting there on about a 1 foot tall little raised platform, and there's walls on the side of it, right? The toilet, stall walls, but there's no door. So you're just staring at the toilet, and to the left of you is the sink, and to the right and to the left of you from there is places where a very small area where, maybe 8 guys can sit in chairs and get dressed. As soon as I open the door, there's Jimmy in the chicken suit sitting on the toilet reading a newspaper with the beak of the chicken suit mask up on top of his head like a fucking dunce cone so that he can read the newspaper. And it's wrestling, so I didn't think too much of it. But I said, Jimmy, he said, well, they told me I got to work because it's only 75 miles to Memphis, and the people saw the TV, so it hadn't been a week yet, so I got to wear the chicken suit. I said, okay. I said, but tonight we're wrestling Coco Ware, you and me, in a handicap match. He said, yeah. I said, you going to work in a chicken suit? And he said, yeah. He said, I got to. He said, by the way, he said, they said that they got to take it back on Tuesday, so I can't tear it. So if you wouldn't mind, would you do most of the – I'm like, oh, fuck. So anyway, we get in this fucking match in Blytheville at the American Legion Arena, and it sounds just as old and dingy and cool looking as you would think it would. And I mean, it's Blytheville. Is there 500 people there? Probably. I doubt it. It was, it's Blytheville. And that used to be an insulting figure for a crowd back in those days. But I've just gotten a bit, and I'm trying to make this as good as I can, right? And I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And Coco's, at least it's an off night for him. He just has to go 6 minutes with 2 managers and beat us up a little bit. So anyway, we go in, of course, we throw powder to get him down, and then we're just supposed to double team him until he makes his comeback. Well, Jimmy is wearing this chicken suit, which has big webbed feet, right? The feet are like 1.5 feet long, easily, maybe 2 feet. So and he's got the fucking beak of the mask up on top of his head like the dunce cap, but every time he throws a kick at Coco with his webbed feet, the fucking mask falls down over his face. He can't see again. So he'll throw a kick with the webbed foot and the mask will fall down. Then he'll push with his fucking wings. He'll push the fucking beak back up on top of his head and throw another kick and the mask will fall down. Then he'll take his wing and push the beak, and I said, just get out of the way. So I get on him, right? And as I get on Coco, and he's like, yeah, stay on me, stay on me. Jimmy wants to get a couple of shots in. So as I pick Coco up, Jimmy draws back with his wing to fucking punch him and fucking smacks me right in the face with a backhand, and I get feathers in my fucking mouth. And now I can't fucking – it's 100 degrees in this building. I'm blowed up anyway. Now I've just inhaled feathers from the chicken suit. I start choking. And Jimmy's still kicking with the fucking webbed feet. And finally – Coco makes his comeback, and I mean, he wasn't going to fucking brain buster either one of us or whatever. It was like punch, 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 double head bonk. And then whatever the fuck, I think he slams me, and he fucking goes to slam Jimmy. Jimmy only weighs 150 pounds, and Coco took care of him, but took care of me rather, but he slams Jimmy on top of me so he can pin us both. And I'm sucking air. I'm blowed up, and he puts the fucking fur or the feathers right on top of me. So I'm starting to breathe the goddamn feathers in my mouth. And he covers us. I can't fucking breathe. Finally, he gets up and gets his hand in the air, and I roll Jimmy off of me, and I'm coughing feathers like I've been blowing Big Bird. I'm coughing feathers out in the air. But we did. Jimmy and I, for that one little run there, worked together, almost every night, co-managing heels for months. So it was, and he really did only sleep 4 hours a night, and he always had that much energy, and it was natural, and he was just amazing.
Idol told me, he was there that night when the San Diego chicken came in, and he got a little upset because Lawler, I guess, told him how much the chicken was getting paid. Yeah. And I want to say it was like $7,000.
I believe it.
And Idol was like, $7,000? You pay the chicken $7,000, then what do I get? Chicken feed for the heartthrob. The whole thing. But
that just goes to show you, because Lawler was a baseball fan, and baseball was hot, but it drew about the same thing. And plus he had just got part of the company, so obviously Jarrett probably didn't want to start yelling at him that early, but it drew maybe a little bit better than anything else that you could have done with the boys that was already in the territory probably would have done. And Jesse Ventura and Austin Idol and Stan Hansen was on the show, but we didn't need a $7,000 chicken. But that shows that even Lawler can get blinded by this thing. Oh, we got to have celebrities. Got to have celebrities.